I will now call the Infrastructure and Community Investment Committee meeting to order. It is 4:08. This meeting is being held in person and electronically in accordance with the Municipal Act. There are no public meetings or open delegations tonight, so we'll move into item number 3, presentations by staff. There are 2 presentations on the agenda tonight. The first presentation is concerning the 2024 Annual Design and Construction Report. I would now like to call upon Sherry Dymart, Director of Infrastructure, to come to the podium for the presentation.
I turned it on. Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Hamilton and members of committee. I'm here today to present the annual report for design and construction. They delivered the city's infrastructure, which includes transportation, water, wastewater, and stormwater. My plan is to highlight the team's performance in relation to historical spending, carryover, discuss some of the projects that have been delivered, and talk about what's to come in 2025. So this presentation is in part a result of Deputy Mayor Thompson had a lot of questions one evening about capital investments and carryovers and wanting more information for council on the status of projects. So I seized the opportunity to come talk to you. So design and construction excellence isn't just about innovation, it's about execution. Our team delivers by aiming for certainty. We have accurate forecasting of funding needs, and we follow through on our commitments. We don't just plan, we perform. And when we say we're going to do something, we get it done. And let's hope, yes. So this table shows that our percent spent has increased steadily since 2019. These numbers for 2024 could be slightly higher because since I put the presentation together, we've done a lot of accruals. And I think our percent spent is around 84%, which is amazing. I understand carryover is a concern for council. This slide highlights that we have been making progress about the amount of carryover we have from year to year. The amount carried into 2025 is hopefully under 30 million, we're hoping, with the numbers, and that's really impressive. There are reasons to have carryover, and they're primarily related to some project delays. Sometimes we have remaining contingencies. The length of time it takes to close property transactions can take longer than expected at times, and closing out developer-led projects with the DC credit agreements. So, the opening of Bryan Drive extension on September 27th was very exciting. Once we figured out how to start the electric truck, it was smooth sailing from there on in. It was exciting. So this will greatly enhance the connectivity and ease of traffic flow in the south end, benefiting both visitors and residents alike. So the remaining work for Duckworth, we just have some surface course pavement on Duckworth and Grove Street, and we're still on track for this to be complete in the spring. So that's exciting. That project's been on the books for a very long time. Once Bayview is complete in 2026, there will be improved traffic flow, added active transportation options for residents, and allowing better access to the local businesses, Innisdale Secondary School, and the Allendale Rec Center. So there are approximately 12 neighborhood renewals planned. There's a lot more, but obviously planned in the older areas of the city. And Eugenia and Wellington D1 are some of the first, and they're currently under construction. Then we have Queen's Park A1 neighborhood. Now this contains some of the oldest infrastructure in the city. So when this is done, it's going to have a really big impact on this neighborhood. And construction will be complete for this one in 2026. Mackay was open on July 4th after a 2-year road closure. The infrastructure project was designed to accommodate the future growth and development in the Salem Secondary Plan area, including urbanization to a 4-lane road, installation of water mains, sanitary, storm sewer to support this expansion. So we paved a lot of roads last year, a lot of roads. A historic amount of paving. We did 17.5 total lane kilometers, which might not sound like a lot, but it is a lot. Next. So this is one of the most significant ongoing drainage projects, and if you work at City Hall, it's been quite loud because they've been trying to get they've been trying to get everything in place. So the Sophia Creek Owen Tributary Storm Outlet. So this initiative is not just about improving the stormwater management, it's also about safeguarding the downtown for the impacts of climate change while enhancing the area's aesthetic appeal and functionality. So the Ferndale Water Tower is shiny with its painting, its new logo. So the work on top of the tank and the improvements and the exterior coating will ensure the long-term integrity of this water tower. The existing control system at the surface water plant is now obsolete, so it leaves the city with an unsupported product. So this upgrade will ensure that the plant is operating with a modern control system that is standard for all water facilities. So what's to come in 2025? Well, as I've talked about the projects I've just discussed, a lot of them will be in year 2 of construction. This list contains some of the new projects, but design and construction needed to pivot. And it was good reason to pivot because we received 2 grant fundings for over $53 million from the province of Ontario. So that was an exciting reason to change up our work plan for the year. So we received $18.6 million towards the widening and reconstruction for Mapleview and Yonge, and almost $35 million towards the trunk sanitary for Mackay and Huronia. So thank you for the opportunity to present today, and thank you for your interest in the projects that we do. Design and construction doesn't just design solutions, we deliver. We execute projects, we do what we say we're going to do. No surprises, no excuses, just results. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Are there any questions from members of the committee? Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Hamilton, and thanks for the presentation, and I appreciate the information. Just out of curiosity, would we be able to get something, not obviously you don't have to answer today, of tendered value to spent value? Are we running over on our projects? Like normally it's 10%, over 10% would come back to council, under 10%. Would we be able to get that information just to see where we're at on tendered amounts to actual spent amounts? And a follow-up, the 2025 Ann Street pump, have we changed the design of that at all? Or, because it was probably 4 years ago, I believe, that the building was changed. It was supposed to not face Ann Street. We changed the design. We're going to put solar panels. Is that all status quo?
I can send you additional information on Ann Street, for sure. It was probably the same as what you previously saw. It won't have solar panels, but it'll be solar panel ready.
Okay.
So we will send you details on the design. We're just finishing up the pre-qualifications for that. And as far as change orders, I'm happy to say most of the time we're under 5%.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
So we keep 10, but we often give some money back.
Okay. And the last question, there's been a couple municipalities, some of the northern and some out west. I know we have one in the GTA that's looking at a new program, Hot in Place, where they put the bitumens back into the asphalt, where it's not a shave and pave, it's not grind and pave, they're actually restoring the existing asphalt. There's a road that you can take a look at and follow the history progress by the Scarborough Town Center. It's about 25 years old, and it was a product they used, and they're starting to revamp the product. It's environmentally friendlier. It's not friendly, but friendlier because you're eliminating trucking, and you're saving on virgin aggregates and stuff. It's actually adding back to it. How would we get that to you? Like as a presentation, reach out to you just to see some of the technology. It's about 2/3 of the cost of what we're paying right now for shave and paves.
Through you, Chair Hamilton, to Deputy Mayor Thompson, we can certainly look into the information. If you want to send us about the project, we can reach out to the municipality and get some information directly from them.
I believe Brampton is, I was reading the Daily Commercial News, similar to it, that they've discontinued that, I think Brampton's going to do a pilot project of it, and it gives you all the breakdowns of like the environmental stuff, and I would just like to see if that's something that would work in our municipality, cutting costs and able to pave more roads. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from members of committee? No, I'll pose one. Just in terms of, you talked about the carryover, which is great because we're minimizing that. What is the target? So for, I think you said 30 million was the estimate for 2025. What's our goal, knowing, I think you pointed out that you do need some level of carryover, but what is our aim?
Well, the goal would be to have no carryover, but that's probably not realistic, right? There's always going to be things that take longer than anticipated. So the fact that the trend, I think in 2018, it was around 200 million, and now we're talking 30 million, that's significant, right? So as accurate as we can be, that only allows money for other projects in the city to happen, right?
Yeah, no, great. More out of curiosity than anything, but good to see that downward trend. And then just Sophia Creek, the storm outlet, knowing how desperately that work was needed, but also knowing the impact in the downtown area. I just have a question from the timeline perspective of that. I know I should know this, but I've had a few members or residents ask me when that project's supposed to be complete and when the roads would reopen. Can you just remind us the timeline for that if you have it in front of you? If not, we can follow up afterwards.
I will need to follow up on that.
Okay.
I certainly can.
Perfect. Wonderful. Any questions from non-members? Seeing none, thank you very much. Appreciate all the hard work, and it's great to see all the different projects. You don't often appreciate them when you live in the city. You're sort of familiar with the areas that you travel, so it's quite interesting to see all the massive projects that really do take place across the city. So thank you very much for sharing today. Okay, we'll move into the second presentation. This one's concerning an update on automated waste collection carts rolling to the curb. I would like to now call upon Stephanie Mack, the Associate Director of Waste Management and Environmental Sustainability, and Bridget Mitchell, the Manager of Solid Waste Management, Policy and Planning, to come to the podium for the presentation.
Thank you, Chair Hamilton and committee. We are really excited to be here this afternoon to bring an update on automated waste collection. This is the second significant change in waste collection. The first, of course, began on May 1st with our new curbside collection contract, our blue box transition. And now we are gearing up to deliver around 100,000 carts this summer throughout the city. And as you can imagine, it is an impactful project, an impactful change on residents. So of course, we're here to provide all the information. Bridget Mitchell, as introduced, is my Manager of Solid Waste Management Policy and Planning. Her team really leading this project, but I have to say it is a combined effort. It is a collaborative effort of many teams here at the city, including communications. We go hand in hand, waste management changes and comms. And we're pleased today to present some information on the rollout and everything you need to know about waste carts.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Okay, so what is automated cart collection? Sorry, we'll go back here. We have a video here. I'm not sure if it'll play, but we had a crew go out to get some footage to be able to show people how automated cart collection works. And so it looks like it's going to work here. If not, we will have this on our website where people can, here we go, perfect. So with automated cart collection, the driver uses a mechanical arm on the side of the truck to lift and empty the carts without exiting the vehicle. So this method of collection supports worker health and safety by eliminating heavy lifting and other associated hazards related to manual collection. It also helps secure more drivers for our waste collection contract by expanding the workforce to additional demographics. For residents, carts are easy to roll out and they don't need heavy lifting or maneuvering. They roll quite easily. We've got our carts here. anyone wants to try them out. Carts also help keep neighborhoods cleaner by keeping waste contained and protected against wind and animals. So this diagram illustrates the relative size of carts compared to an example of what's currently accepted for a garbage can, and also a person who's 6 feet tall. I'm about 6 feet tall as well, so you can see how they are relative to my height. So something we've been hearing some concerns about is regarding the storage space for carts. But as you can see through the images on the left of the slide, the carts allow for vertical storage of waste, making the storage space required for the carts comparable or even less to the storage space required for the containers that are currently accepted for collection. On the right side of the slide is a demonstration of the capacity of a standard garbage cart. So currently, 2 120-liter garbage bags, or what can fit in the 120-liter garbage cans, that can fit now into this large garbage cart here, so this 240-liter garbage cart. If property owners feel that the standard cart is too large, they can request a smaller cart through our registration tool that I'll be talking a little bit more about later. And that's this one over here, the smaller one, and this one is the same size as the organics cart. So the service for residential properties consists of organics and garbage cart collection. Yard waste will continue to be collected manually in paper bags or cans. Residential recycling is managed by Circular Materials and will continue to be collected in blue and gray recycling boxes. Circular Materials may change the method of collection in future, but at present, staff aren't aware of any changes on this front. Residents will receive one small 120-liter organics cart and one large or standard 240-liter garbage cart. This is the default option for all residential properties unless the property owner requests a smaller cart through our registration tool. The service for business and institutional properties consists of organics, garbage, and recycling cart collection. Sorry, I should have switched the slide. And yard waste will continue to be collected manually in paper bags or cans. So similar to residential properties, business and institutional property owners can also request a smaller garbage cart when they register for municipal service. With this transition to carts, service for businesses and institutional properties will be brought in line with residential property service. Businesses and institutional municipal waste services will also be expanded to include organics collection. So each registered property will receive one set of carts. Organics and recycling will be collected weekly, while garbage will be collected every other week. This is the same as the residential collection schedule. Similar to residential properties, again, they have business and institutional property owners will have the option to choose a smaller garbage cart size when registering for service. And again, for business and institutional properties, there's another change because they will be getting a recycling cart and they'll no longer be they're no longer required to sort their recycling. They can put their containers and paper into the recycling cart altogether. So properties with 2 to 5 residential units are eligible to receive multiple sets of carts as outlined in the table. They must select them through the registration tool. As mentioned previously, residential recycling will be continued to be collected by Circular Materials through gray and blue boxes. MPAC and the city's second suite registration will be the information we use to confirm residential units. Properties with businesses or institutional units are eligible for a maximum of 1 set of carts if they choose to register for municipal waste service. This will be a change for businesses and institutional properties as they are currently serviced by unit if they are registered for our service. These properties are generally suited these properties are generally better suited to, I missed my spot here. Municipal waste services are generally suited for small businesses and institutional properties with limited waste, which can be collected on residential routes. Larger businesses and institutional properties with multiple units, such as complexes or plazas, often require front-end dumpsters, not curbside collection. The city does not provide front-end dumpster services for these properties. So from now until March 31st, the city's registration tool is live for residential property owners to request to substitute a smaller garbage cart at no charge. If a property has more than 1 residential unit, additional carts can be requested at no charge. And if owners do not submit their request by March 31st, the property will receive 1 large garbage cart and 1 small organics cart. This is the default option for all residential properties. After carts have been delivered, exchanges for a different size of garbage cart will be permitted in October, and a $50 fee will apply. Property owners or designated managers of businesses and institutional properties outside of the downtown BIA must register by March 31st as well if they wish to receive collection from the City of Barrie effective September 8th. Upon registration, they have the option to choose a smaller cart. If they miss the registration deadline, they can still register, but they may experience a delay in service due to the timeline the city has to follow for the citywide rollout. And for the downtown BIA, it's a little bit different. All property owners or designated managers of properties must register with the city by March 31st to receive curbside waste collection services effective September 8th. So this includes both residential properties and business and institutional properties. So registering with the city will ensure the individual needs of each property requesting municipal waste services are considered, and staff will work with property owners where required to determine waste capacity and the quantity of carts as well as storage and set out locations. Given the complex access and limited space in the BIA, the area will require additional servicing tools. Many don't have the frontage or space to set out the carts with the two feet of clearance, so we do have some additional tools that we can use to help within the contract. So carts are on display at select city facilities until March 31st for people to go and have a look and see how they feel, and to help property owners decide what size of garbage cart is best suited for their property. We're really encouraging people to go out and try them out. We're also touring them around at various events that staff are attending within the community. So to review the high-level timeline of the cart rollout, from now until March 31st, cart selection and service registration is happening. So property owners and designated managers are the ones responsible for the cart selection and the registration. And even though some businesses may be currently receiving service through manual collection, these property owners need to still register for service beyond September 7th. June through to August is when cart delivery occurs. We will have a high-level schedule on the website closer to the date. And then on September 8th, or the week of September 8th, cart collection begins.
So we understand that this is a lot of information, especially as we gear up to that March 31st deadline. So it's kind of the first step in the journey to September. And we're here to help. And, we don't take that lightly, whether it's, our colleagues in Service Barrie, we're working together, Bridget's team, myself, it's a team effort to help everyone work through this, whether they're residential property owners, businesses, institutions, whatever it looks like for the property owner. And I can say we have some great information in the 2025 waste collection calendar. It really is a journey to September, and if you follow the calendar, the key dates are there really to help. Also, we are sending out a number of pieces of correspondence to different property owners, to business owners, to businesses, whatever that looks like, and the information is there to really get everybody gearing up for that March 31st deadline. Of course, like I said, we're here. The website is an amazing tool. And I got to tell you that everything you need to know, including those pictures, if you have concerns about storage space, if you're curious on the cart sizes, everything is there on the website. So barrie.ca/curbside collection changes. And with that, Chair Hamilton, we're pleased to address any questions.
Thank you to you both. It was a great presentation. And I will just say, I think the communications on this has been outstanding, to be honest. Not only for us as councillors, you've kept us very informed, you've given us lots of information, access to websites and tools, but also from a resident perspective and business perspective. I've heard nothing but positive comments in terms of how proactive we've been in providing communication. So just really appreciate the work in that. I know it's not easy. It is a big change. Lots of information to digest, but I think the team has done a really great job in communicating that out to the community. So just wanted to give you kudos for that. Any questions from members of the committee? Councillor Rietma.
Thank you, Chair Hamilton, and I would echo that. I think you've done a great job as far as informing the public and ourselves as well. So keep up the good work. We'll see how effective it's been on September the 9th, I'm sure. But I think we're all planning on unplugging our phones on September the 9th. But I have one question. There's a lot of people that have green bins now. What happens to them when we get the new ones?
Through you, Chair Hamilton, to Councillor Rietma, great question, and we're ready for that. So it is really a two-part response. The first is we're going to encourage residents to keep those and to reuse them and to repurpose them. There's some great tips actually in the calendar, I believe, on that, whether it's storage of, pet food or bird seed or whatever, use them. If you don't have storage space, if you don't want to keep it, we are gearing up for a return to the landfill program. Those details are being finalized, and we will release information on how that will unfold closer to the fall.
Thanks.
Any other questions from members of the committee? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Chair Hamilton, and great presentation, and to the communication staff. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's a change, and people sometimes think it's the end of the world when you change certain things, and garbage is one of them. So yeah, I think it's been great. How do you feel the uptake of the businesses? Like, do you see, just with the businesses that have to register, do you feel we're communicating and you're getting enough uptake from them where we're not going to have people's garbage sitting out in commercial units?
Through you, Chair Hamilton, to Deputy Mayor Thompson. Great question. We are gearing up to send correspondence on the IC&I program. If you were to ask me generally how the rollout's going, I would say fantastic. We're really pleased, perhaps with the exception of businesses. We need a reminder out, and this is, with the next round of information, to say that if you are registered in the current program, right? So we had started registration for business servicing on May 1st. That only goes to September when automated cart collection starts. you need to be registered for the new program. It is also a big shift in servicing from business to property, to business unit to property. It's something that we are working to get more information out as we gear up to that March 31st date.
And just to follow up, understanding that it's another line, it's not the city with the recyclable. And last time we spoke, you were actually getting on a call with the partners. Is there any conversation about the recycle bins coming and changing? And I don't know if I missed the date of that where we're going to get carts for the recycle.
Through you, Chair Hamilton, to Deputy Mayor Thompson, that's a great question. It's one of our most common questions. What about recycling carts? And as outlined in the presentation, this will be the decision of Circular Materials, how they wish to collect recycling here in the city. The answer is we don't know. And we have gone and met with them to let them know the situation here. And really to look at the collection area. So we know that the City of Barrie, actually, when it comes to recycling, is in the same catchment, they're called catchments, as the County of Simcoe and the City of Orillia. The County of Simcoe has automated single stream cart collection of recycling. The city, to our knowledge, will still continue to be collected as two streams, so that's containers and fibers, the blue box, the gray box. As we know. We are seeing, though, interestingly enough, changes throughout the province as we get closer to the full transition. So the Blue Box program will be fully transitioned, starting kind of that new provincial system on January 1st, 2026, and the system is in flux right now. So stay tuned. But it doesn't mean, we're out of the recycling business. We are in touch with Circular Materials. If we hear anything, that obviously would be relayed to yourselves and to residents.
And maybe just to follow up to that, some of the communication was, and our waste collection contract jumped, substantial. And it was due to dual purpose trucks, the arms, the hydraulics, to ask a contractor to have dual. Are we going to end up seeing a cost? Because if they stay at the blue and gray bin, they'll still need dual purpose. We're telling people that it's good for employment. You're able to get more people. Well, they're going to have to get out of the trucks to lift blue and gray boxes, where we're telling people the reason why we're going to carts is, so that's kind of where my question was coming from. Just, it seems counterproductive to have everything we've been saying about the cart system to stay with manual lift. Thanks.
Any other questions from members of a committee? Or any questions from members of council in attendance? Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Hamilton, and thank you for your presentation. I think you've done a fabulous job at getting the word out. I think really our challenge is going to be how many residents are actually paying attention to the information that's there. So that's why I kind of chuckled when he mentioned the dead hard date there, when to see what the uptick of people actually paying attention is going to be. Just curious, when it comes to the green bin and the garbage bin, obviously the green bin's got a spin lock on it, whereas the garbage can doesn't. Is there a reason why the garbage can wouldn't have a lock on it too?
Through you, Chair Hamilton, to Councillor Harvey, that's a great question. In a perfect world, what we'd like to see is anything that would be edible, right? The things that critters would like, the food and organic waste, would be in the green cart. So it's an incentive to start driving the food and organic waste from the garbage. We know 30% of our garbage is still food and organic waste. We're going to work on that after we get these carts all out and delivered. We need to be pushing those materials from the garbage into the green cart, right? And then the green cart locks up. It's nice and secure from, from animals. And the waste that is left in the garbage should be waste that really animals, critters, wouldn't like. Plastic bags, film, things like that aren't currently accepted in the recycling bin. Really dry waste, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you for that. Totally makes sense. And just a follow up to that, part of the communication I was looking at, I gather the brochure that's sitting on our desks is what's going out to residents. And again, as a former garbage collector myself, way back in my teen years, just looking at process, I don't see that it mentions anything about ensuring that your green bin is unlocked. And kind of to Deputy Mayor Thompson's point about avoiding the driver from having to get out to have to unlock the green bin. So just curious on that.
Through you, Chair Hamilton, to Councillor Harvey. It's a little bit of magic. Those green cards, the gravity lock, it's a gravity lock. And so when the arm comes out and they're tipped, the lid will open automatically, so we don't have to worry about it. It's just part of the design of the carts themselves.
Okay, great, thank you. I would have never suspected that a plastic rolly cart would have that much tech in it. Thank you.
Any other questions from, yes, go ahead, Councillor Kungl.
Thank you, Chair Hamilton. Thank you for the presentation. And when things, are well planned, I think it still deserves to be complimented. So while I reiterate the compliments from the rest of the members that have spoken, I do want to sincerely thank you, because when we talk about communications, the handouts or pamphlets are great, but where you've really gone above and beyond and where I've seen a difference is where you're making them accessible, like visually giving dimensions, seeing them at Service Barrie, bringing them to town halls. That's been greatly appreciated, and I know it takes staff time away, but it is a big change piece, and I think that's been a really effective part of the communications. I have about 3 questions. I think it was Bridget when you mentioned about the timeline for September the 8th, and if they haven't registered and have not received their bins, then they may just experience delays. So what does that mean? If I was managing a resident concern about I haven't got my bins yet, or I forgot, or I was away and missed it, does that actually mean that they can still put garbage in a bag on the curbside, not even in a regular bin we're using today, perhaps, and that will still be picked up? Or do they need to store it until their new bins arrive and they're then depositing that in the bin? I just want to appreciate that from the video about the mechanics of now the machinery being used and driver safety, and whether or not that means the driver will not go out to grab anything outside of the carts.
Through you, Chair Hamilton, to Councillor Kungl, a couple of things. In the new world, in our automated cart world, the intention is that the driver would rarely get out of the truck, right? Really, we want to maximize the benefit of that automated collection. I say almost always, because we will be permitting extra garbage bags. Let's say you have a little bit of overflow with a bag tag, right? So the garbage bag tag program will continue. We hope to see that hopefully infrequently, because like I said, the intention is that the driver will not be exiting the truck. And just for some clarity on the residential program, all properties that receive curbside collection will be getting a standard set of carts. So if you don't go to select a smaller size garbage truck or garbage cart, no worries. You will be getting the standard set, which is that 240 liter garbage and the 120 liter organics, in order to be ready for that September 8th start date. Where we were saying, about the not registering for service is really our business institutional properties that must opt into the program in order to have those carts delivered. And that goes also with the BIA. It is an opt-in for service within those 2 groups of property owners.
Thank you. And a follow-up through you, Chair Hamilton. Separate kind of line of questioning, and I appreciate that you've got such a great knowledge base on this. So it's I appreciate your being able to speak to that in time. I had, I think, asked at the early stages of this, and I'm still kind of seeing it. So from roadside in the evenings, I've found that sometimes it's difficult to see the ones in the county at night, especially if they're left on rural roads and they're sometimes off the laneway and they're roadside. So I didn't know if we had an understanding or impression around visibility. So still seeing black bins and white writing, but if we know if they're reflective or if it will be a non-issue if you feel that this transition will create efficiency where we shouldn't be seeing recycling being picked up in the later hours of the day.
Through you, Chair Hamilton, to Councillor Kungle. I do recall we looked into that, and interestingly enough, the company that manufactures them, and Bridget, feel free to add to this. It wasn't a standard ask. That these carts are very standard. They hadn't had any other inquiries regarding reflective markings on the carts, but it will be up to the resident, the property owner, to make sure that they're in a safe and secure location, wherever that would be, at the driveway or along the boulevard, if they've cleared a spot for them.
Thank you. And then I think just tied to that, do we have a sense of efficiency around if the routes we have today and the way that they're currently serviced will be covered in less time or the same amount of time, or will routes actually expand and change over time through learnings, any type of quicker approach to collection?
Through you, Chair Hamilton, to Councillor Kungle. It's an interesting question in that the length of the routes and how long it's taking to get material off the street is something that the operations team actually monitors, because we have the landfill open, right? So we have a team waiting every afternoon for those garbage trucks to come in, and we're doing actually really well. And so to your point, May 1st, the routes took a little bit longer as the drivers got to know the city. We're seeing some really good times, right? They're coming in mid-afternoon, they're clearing. Should we expect, a quicker, delivery time, so to speak, of the garbage in the new world? I would say probably not at first, right? Because we're going to have drivers, again, getting used to a new way of collection. It will be the same routes. We're not changing up the routes. As of yet, they'll still be continuing along the same journey, perhaps finding efficiencies, perhaps as they get used to the new trucks.
Thank you. And final question for you, Chair Hamilton, but directed at Ms. Banfield, if I may. If not known at this point in time, Ms. Banfield, is there any look at the front-end dumpster services that were described? So I've had historically a couple of developments that in the phase of development and planning, they opted out, which is, I believe, their choice around identifying if they're going to service garbage and recycling through city services or do it privately. And often I'm seeing what's happening is when the control of that property moves to a condo board and other costs are being considered. The question I get often had been, is there any way in which we can revert back to city service to reduce the cost to their owners and tenants? And that usually hadn't been thought of in the design, and we've had to say, no, it's not an option. You're kind of stuck with what you've committed to. With this movement, are we requiring or changing the conversation anyway with new development plans coming forward, especially in like townhouses, condos, and those particular styles of development where we can at least allow, as those places change hands and we see costs being dynamic, making sure that that's something that people can accommodate over time versus being structured into?
Through you, Chair Hamilton, to Councillor Kungle. So you're not the only councillor that has these situations, and so we get many of those requests. The good news is through Ms. Mack's work with Mterra that they have agreed to go and take a look at these many of these private condos. They haven't quite got to that stage yet in their review, but they have committed to doing it. And if they are able to, and Councillor Negussi, I'm looking at you as well because you have another example of that. So if they are able to, then they'll be able to get the municipal garbage collection. But at that point, as I said, and Ms. Mack can take over, but they haven't quite got to that point yet, but it is on their radar. They are committed to doing that site visit. Kind of going forward with what we know now for sure is that we're suggesting and requiring all new developments, like brand new ones, to meet our municipal standard. And at the same token, when we're talking about more like ground-related housing, we're also requesting that garages be sized to fit a car and these the garbage carts. Definitely getting some pushback on that from the development community, talking about making you make the garbage or the garage bigger, and the cost of land, and every time we ask for something to be bigger, there's an impact on affordability. We continue to push the conversation that is trying to push it forward to talk about, yes, affordability is important, but livability. And once the developer sells the house and we have new residents in the city of Barrie, they're experiencing some real day-to-day livability challenges. And so we're trying to bring that forward. So long answer, but it's on our radar. And I don't know, Ms. Mack, if you had anything more to say about MTerra looking at those private collections.
Through you, Chair Hamilton, to Councillor Kungle, it is a great conversation, one that Ms. Banfield's team, our team, continually have, because it's very interesting, right? As development changes throughout the city, how we service them is also evolving. We have some great new tools in our toolbox, servicing, the 6 to 20 unit buildings, for example, with carts, bringing them part of the cart family, to new tools on front end servicing or expanding our organics offerings. Lots of great conversations, and really looking at our development standards, right? So making sure, because there's nothing worse to try to solve it after, folks are living there, right? That is the most challenging thing for us. If we can't get a truck in there, if they're, the turnarounds aren't adequate, to really deal with it on the front end, to make sure we're planning for waste, we're planning for diversion. And these aren't even city conversations. These are bigger provincial conversations as development changes, and we make sure that we're really ready for the blue box, for changes there, and also for expanding organics programs in multi-res. So thanks.
Fantastic on both ends. One, I just assumed that wasn't possible around a retrospective look. So that's wonderful. I won't go into more questions, but maybe just an ask that depending what comes back, I'd love to know how that information then will get passed forward passively or proactively to areas that have been identified, and how they may be engaged, and how that time lines up to this conversion timeline. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from council members in attendance? Councillor Rietma, back to you.
Thank you for giving me a second chance, Chair. It just perked on in my mind when you answered Councillor Harvey's question about, in the future, you're going to work hard on getting the green bin usage up. And I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint you in that, because I think that is pretty unlikely. The County of Simcoe has spent an awful lot of time and money trying to increase the usage of the green cart. I think it's around 30%, and I think today it's still there. So I would encourage you to look at other options. And frankly, I think we ought to get rid of the green cart altogether, and go to incinerators or garberators, that kind of thing, because I think that's really the answer. But anyway, I'm going to leave that to you and put that in your job jar after September the 9th.
All right, thank you. Any final questions? Go ahead, Councillor Nixon.
Thank you, Chair Hamilton. Just a quick question. With the requests that people can submit online, I know I did mine a few weeks ago. Is it too early to have any indications on how many people are requesting the small bins? Or do we know yet?
Through you, Chair Hamilton, to Councillor Nixon, we were prepared with numbers. We thought that might be an ask. Ms. Mitchell, did you want to give an indication of how many folks have asked for a smaller garbage cart?
Sure. Got my notes here. So through you, Chair Hamilton, to Councillor Nixon. So far, we have about 1,845 residents who have requested smaller bins. Those are properties with one residential unit. So that's about 4% of what we're planning to put out there. We also have about 210 56 of the 2 to 3 units properties, residential properties, have also requested smaller bins. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And one more quick one. I know we had met with the BIA several months ago to encourage them to register. How's that coming along? Are the majority of them, do you know if most or the majority have registered, or do we need to push?
Through you, Chair Hamilton, to Councillor Nixon, we're getting there. So I believe we're 260 or so properties, and we're over 100. And just a note on the BIA, thank you for bringing that up. It will be our most challenging area within the city to move to the new system. So we're working really hard. So the must register is really critical so that we can provide really that personalized service to each property owner on not only the carts that are appropriate for their property or the property type, mixed use, big one down in the BIA, but also that we can work on planning where those will be set out. So if we could really just give, an extra reminder to the BIA, we really need those registrations because we're working on those one by one. So that is a lot of work for the team as we get ready for September.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? You had a lot. Well, thanks to you both, and keep up the good work in terms of communication, and look forward to the rest of this project rolling out. Literally rolling out. All right, that is the end of the presentations for this evening. There are no standing items, no deferred items, but we do have 3 advisory committee reports to be received. I'll read all 3 out. 6.1, Report of the Arts Advisory Committee dated January 28, 2025. Report of the Communities in Bloom Committee dated February 4th, 2025. And report of the Active Transportation and Sustainability Committee dated February 6, 2025.
So moved.
So moved. All those in favor? And they're passed. There are no further reports, no items for discussion, so we will adjourn. This concludes the Infrastructure and Community Investment Committee meeting. The City Council meeting will begin at 7 p.m.